something that Sute was able to mention
Yeah.
perfectly well. It was happening too. Nova controlled the peak of where Power decided to push. They had three players looking at that one spot, and it backfired for Power in a big way. Now, the big question mark, Imperium, becomes, was that enough for Power to just not want to drop there anymore? I think that is enough. You know what? It's only 4 days, 6 games. They don't drop again there, Power.
No, I disagree. I've got to commend Power because I think they did a great job with the somewhat opening knock. They turned order around and exposed him. I think when they're going up against a 2-time champion, on the confirmation, they knew they were going up against Nova. Maybe in that moment the nerves got the better of them, which is why they overexposed. But to me, Power showed a lot of strength in that small 4v4 fight. I would hold on to that Gaka drop.
I think maybe Order may have exposed himself a little bit right there, guys. Well, what do you think about that fight? Let us know. Make sure you go ahead and follow all our social channels. You know, the Twitch, the YouTube, the Facebook, the Instagram, all the good stuff that you see there on the screen. Man, so the next match is coming up here as we go into number 2. Now, this is a really big, important one because, you know, Bacon Time, they got that dub. You know, they're feeling good. That energy, that mentality is big, but those squads that really, you know, didn't get that great start, I think they got to bounce back right here, Miramar.
Oh, they definitely do. And I mean, one of them, even though we did end up seeing 4 eliminations out of them, I'm going to talk about Nova again because they ended up getting just absolutely trapped by Alpha 7 whenever they wanted to make that push out of Gatka. I think we want to see a little bit more out of the back-to-back champions, right? They were able to establish a little bit of dominance there, winning that hot drop. And then another team, too, that I want to see more out of, it is going to be Alpha 7 and Damwon Kia. Damwon Kia, I know you didn't like the rotation at all, Imperium. They put themselves in a particular spot that we weren't happy about.
It was a rotation that didn't need to be done. They were kind of hanging on to the edge of the south side, which they had to stay there, south of the river, should I say. If they had to stay there for a little bit longer, they actually probably could have punished Bacon on their rotation, but because they full sent it across the river onto the edge of that hillside, not only does it kind of leave you a little bit exposed on the west and the east, but also leaves you exposed from any other team that's still south of the river. In this case, it was kind of Stalwart Godlike, and it was just an unneeded rotation from Damwon Kia. They showed that in the past. I'm going to put that down to Game 1 nerves and see where we go from there.
Yeah, Game 1's always a lot of shenanigans there, you know. But one thing is that we didn't see quite a few shenanigans from the teams that 7 has predicted here, because it looks like a Bacon Time is now up on the list.
Yeah. I mean, with that performance that they put up, it's just the way that we're able to do it. You saw their travel time, how much they were able to travel and still being able to win the game. That's super impressive how they were able to eliminate some of those teams that they were actually getting into fights with. Not having the numbers to their advantage, just an impressive win overall. Vampire Esports, you heard me mention it earlier. I feel like they were a little bit too passive. I was actually surprised that they even had a top performance in there. It was just kind of keeping people at bay, just causing some damage. I feel like they should have done that a little bit more against Damwon Kia Imperium.
Definitely. And for Fireflux, they definitely got caught out in that Game 1 on the rotation. I believe with the changes on the circle algorithm, some teams are hanging on to the edge of the circle or outside of the blue a little bit longer than they might have in the past, but they know what they're capable of in Miramar. Very much similar with Alpha 7, right? I've made these picks mainly based on the fact that we're going into Miramar. Alpha 7 are extremely strong in Miramar, and they know how to play the hillside, play the massive mountains of the Miramar terrain, and arguably similar with Skylights. Back when they were DRS, was their strongest map, in my opinion, and I'm hoping they show similar, especially going off the fact that they've got second place. Carry that momentum, right, guys? Carry that momentum.
Momentum's gonna be big. Now the crazy part is we're going into Miramar. Okay, match number 1, we had an Aaron Gale, we saw a hot drop, right? I gotta bring this up one more time because we saw a hot drop in Gatka of all places. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you guys here as we go into Miramar, give me a percentage. What do you think the percentage chance of us seeing a hot drop here back to back in this next match? What do you think, 7? Give me a number.
77% in Pecado.
That's on
see brand. What you did there. I'm gonna say 69.
Nice. Let's go ahead and take it to our casters and see what their predictions are. Let's bring it on over to Zuti and John.
Absolutely. We're going to be getting into... I'm going to throw that over to you, Zute. Are you looking at any teams specifically to... They were a little bit better than maybe they did in Erangel?
Any teams I would do better? I believe Nova would do better, hopefully. Any teams I would do better? I believe Nova would do better, hopefully. They had a hot drop to start off, but as far as hot drops I wasn't expecting, a
I think we'll see a hot drop.
Like, if teams are going to fight for... I wasn't expecting, a Gaka hot drop. Like, if teams are going to fight for almost anything at this point, that just shows to me, teams will fight for almost anything at this point, especially
heading on over into Miramar shortly. We're going to be heading on over into Miramar shortly. Stalwart on the screen. Felt like they didn't really have quite the best of times in that game. Obviously, playing peacefully on that western river. Kind of getting cut down a little bit. They took, I think, about 4 western side pretty sequentially, and I think cut down a little bit. They took, I think, about 4 a little bit more from pretty sequentially, and I think that kind of was the doom of the Miramar. I'm hoping to see a little bit more from HVV play on the sidelines well. Coming into Miramar. They're pretty happy about their try at the start, but they are really strategizing well on this one.
Yeah. I think we saw those hand gestures right there. I'll tell you what, I bet you he's talking about the Nova fight. We saw those hand gestures right there. If I was in his shoes, I bet you he's talking about when you lose a hot drop fight, when you were so close to winning it. When you will keep lose a hot drop fight, when you were so close to winning it, came up around here. Oh, like, you will keep talking about like, so if we just had this maybe angle and you came up around here, like, so maybe hopefully they'll get their minds settle in for the second game. First game is already done. You can't linger too much on things, and man, there's a lot riding on every single game, because you worked the first week, John, and we saw it came down to the very last game on the very last day. So in theory, that basically does mean every single game with their performance.
Yeah, I mean, they should be that coming in second place, wasn't it, after they took down no, it was third place after they were taken down by Skylights and Bacon.
They got crunched in.
They did get crunched in on the top, but still third place is solid, and they were able to pick up quite a few points for it as well. They start to load on into the lobby. I mean, it was, as you say, a really solid result coming through from the Donuts, from Skylights as well. I think Skylights managed to pick up quite a few eliminations in that game, so they should be fairly happy with it. You do Alliance didn't have the best of games in that one, but that's not going to dampen their spirits. You can see them all rallying together. Going to be looking for Miramar.
Speaking about teams that didn't do too well, one team that I want to mention, the Knights. The Knights team, the only team representing the North America region. Tough first game, I would say. Maybe the circles, was hard shifting quite a bit for them. But maybe they're just warming up. Hopefully it's not because, North America, every time North America's at the global stage, we always struggle. So maybe they'll start picking things up. Fingers crossed for the side of the Knights.
Look at that concentration as everyone moves to the desks, moves to the phones, adjusts those desk fans. We were admiring the desk fans in week 1. We're thinking about, is there some priority in terms of the color of the fans that you go for? You're trying to match the outfits. Looks like Skylights are going to match that one. Blank was a fan of the pink fans. I think I'm a fan too.
I like pink. That guy's rocking the pink hair too. Also, we were talking about it. The Bacon Time jersey, the pink stripes running down the sides. I love that touch.
Really cool little element, but is it going to keep them cool in Miramar? Are they going to be able to carry that momentum forwards for Bacon Time as we are into the plane once again, heading over the desert? The plane path this time heading from Campo Militar down to La Riera.
This plane path, I would say, pretty good. Pretty good for Miramar. We've seen a lot of plane paths in Miramar where it's just, it really kind of just doesn't favor a lot of teams. But this northern side start is great because a lot of the looting areas are on that northern side. We only see one team, though, taking the entirety of the northeast, and that's Alpha 7, which kind of bodes to me a lot of teams are going to centralize or go down to the south, in which case we might see some more, not necessarily hot drops, but rotation fighting. like where both teams are trying to rotate towards the same area. So we'll see what happens with that very soon.
The circle, of course, will be a big factor in this. If it heads south, all of these teams are going to have to move fast. Who dropped out early. Alpha 7, though, already looting, should already be picking up weapons, vehicles, everything else that you're going to need for the battlegrounds. Should be fairly kitted out. Taking a look at that central cluster, there seems like a lot of teams over Picado. Yeah, look at that. I think at least 3 different colors, 4 maybe.
That is a lot of colors in the first circle, all the way down to the southwest. Not only is this a really difficult circle for the teams to rotate into, but this circle in general with that terrain, all the high ground. Oh man, we are shaping up for an insane Miramar match, and what better way to start it than a hot drop in Picado, like 7 predicted.
He was looking for it. I mean, why not? Start fighting for a central, crucial position. This one is probably more reasonable than a Gatka hot drop, I think. Picado, in general, more viable and more valuable to a lot of teams.
Definitely. But this also means it might be a longer fight than the one we saw in Gatka, as there's so many angles to work with, and might not even be a full-out fight. There could be disengages from both teams, as there are vehicles on the north side and south side.
This will be a little bit different to the other hot drop as well. There's a lot more loot on board, so no one's going to be wanting for weapons. I mean, you've got Microzy and UMP on the back of Xenox there for Pittsburgh Knights. You've got those UMPs close range, brutal. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 M4s in the mix. In the meantime, Bacon Time are over in El Pozo, and they will be playing from that north side of the circle moving forwards. On the north of them, you've got HVVP on a wide La Cobreria split coming in for their early drop. USG Donuts, quite a wide split as well, just to the east of El Pozo towards Power Grid as well. A lot of open drops, but that Picado central area really jam-packed with teams, and that's kind of the main focal point on the east side of this first circle.
Yeah, Picado right now. And the problem with these two teams, you know, not even fighting each other in Picado, just they're going to be rotating slightly later, right? Because they don't have the full city under their control. And coming in from the eastern edge with so many teams on the eastern side rotating in, like I said, that domino effect. We saw it happen with Nova. They took time to fight a team, and then the team rotating in from the south side, which was Alpha 7, eventually ran into them. Now, for the Knights and Vampire, there is at least 4 to 5 teams on the eastern side that might be rotating through that area in the next circle stage.
Having to keep your eyes out for that one. Keep on the swivel. Team down in that southwest side via the Mar will be, of course, down 1, and they'll be pretty chill over that area. Chumacera, 1 million esports. That east side, yeah, it is just going to be that main focal point. I'm interested to see if Fireflux regroup on Lutz and take a position near to Skylight Gaming, because that's probably one of the he's one of the more central positions and could be fought over by a lot of other teams.
Yeah, and it is on that high ground also. I am looking at the minimap, and it looks like Fireflux is indeed going to start converging onto Lutz's position. Skylights Gaming looting the Montoy Nevo region. It looks like they are also starting to spread out onto the high ground. And like I mentioned, this first circle, there is a lot of high ground in play, and it is divided by that one stretch of road that goes right down the middle of the map.
Bacon Time going to be marching on down the route to the highway and moving south at the moment. No one really contesting them. Down 1 will be a little bit further ahead, but they should be prepared for a team to be there. They should be scouting it out, getting that info. I think they might have figured something out already. They're worried about the houses. Definitely being cautious here for Bacon Time, and rightly so. You're moving into territory where the plane went pretty much directly over, so you know there's going to be teams local here. Yeah.
Very good fundamentals right there. You always want to scope in onto every ridge and do kind of like a hopping rotation, have someone covering all at the same time. And Damwon coming in from Valdemar, Bacon Time coming in from El Pozo, and they both reach the same location at the same exact time. It's almost like clockwork for these teams right now. They have their rotations down, they have the prime positions already in mind, and now a fight is breaking out. It looks like Damwon is deciding to pull back just a little bit, and it looks like it's going to be full engage, actually, or disengage for Damwon.
I had Damwon as one of the teams I thought might be able to make it into the top 3 in this tournament. I feel like this is a team that has never been on better form. They didn't get super far into that first game, but they did manage to sneak their way into a tricky compound, try to go for that crash. It was spoiled. 5 points on the game, though. Not terrible. And now they have a nice tucked away position on that southwest. Disengaging, I don't blame them. You don't want to fight in this scenario. You don't want to risk losing a player early on Miramar.
No. Jimmy taking a lot of shots right here. Oh, it does. I feel like one of the wheels got popped out with the way that vehicle's swerving. Jimmy, though, still full HP, finds the road, and he is... Oh, headshot right there. Oh, at the last second, it looks like Jimmy will make it out of there alive. That was quite scary. Jimmy driving away. One shot to the head. That vehicle is perfectly fine, it actually seems like. And Nova's going to continue on with the rotation. I don't know how much deeper they could get into the circle, though, because they have a rather later rotation, as there is a lot of teams already posturing up near the center of the zone.
I mean, they're moving to the north side of Chumacero as well, which is going to have a lot of potential for getting shot out. I imagine that's going to slow them down, drag them in like molasses, and keep them from stretching out in terms of getting away from those teams further out to their east. HVVP, they're playing from that north side on their Chumacero split. They will, sorry, on their Copraria split on the north side, moving down south. Alpha 7 will be tucking in behind them, so maybe again Alpha 7 playing that late entrance game, which won them the fight against Nova last time and took them a little bit stronger into those circles.
On the eastern side of things, we still got teams needing to rotate in. 2 teams already covered in the blue, Power and Evos. Looks like they won't decide to fight here, which is quite smart. Blue zone's coming in, and also the rotations are just going to get harder and harder the longer you take to make them. The Knights with a really good disengage out of Picado, already getting closer to the center of zone, and looking at Picado, the Vampire team, Vampire Esports, still there, looting up. So like I said, slowing each other down. Cool. Knights are going to make the heads up play to rotate, and yeah, that's a tough circle shift right there.
It's tight on this group of teams that's already in this circle, but for the teams on the outside, it's going to be even harder. Those Eastern teams are not going to catch a break here. Power doing well against Evos at the moment. Like Evos only taking the 1 knock so far, but that should be a flush. Not going to be able to get that one back up. This is going to be the first elimination of the lobby. Hopping back over to the Picado point, you're right, Pittsburgh Knights just fully disengaged. We've seen hot drops on Picado, especially back over in Western Europe in the European Championships. There was 2 teams that were just constantly fighting Picado. This is the other side of that coin, right, where you have that split loot potential.
Yeah. I think it works out for both teams, even if they don't fight, because there's so much loot to go around, and vehicles as well. So we'll see how Vampire does, as they will have to be the team that comes in on the edge side now. HVVP, Alpha 7 on the northwest. It does look like they're going to be on a collision course. That might be the next fight that breaks out, as although the team's already in the zone, looks like they're just setting up and not really going to be getting into any full engagements. Nova did find themselves somehow in the center of this circle, doing a somewhat big 2-2 split, but I think they will group up together. And here's that Alpha 7 HVVP collision course. HVVP definitely getting shot at now, and looks like they're going to hightail it out of there and prioritize the zone instead.
Rightly so. Alpha 7 not at full force, so they don't want to take this fight either. Mafioso, way further up north, was being tickled by the blue. You can see his health bar there, suffering for it. These rotations going past the Bacon Time outpost, using that terrain as cover. Might be visible from that area, but not taking shots just yet. Down 1. Pretty close to 1 million esports now in the hills to the west side of Chumacero, just north of Valle de Mar. Down 1 actually have a really solid split in this next circle.
Speaking of splits, hopefully the minimap will come up. Nova actually going to continue to do a huge 2-2 split, a very strong one too, controlling Chuma and the center of the zone. This Miramar game Definitely a bit slower paced, given the fact that it is Miramar. A lot of time spent rotating and a lot of difficult terrain to fight on. So no full-out engagements, but we're going to soon get into the breaking point of the game where everybody's going to start fighting around the edges of the zone.
Pittsburgh Knights reaping the rewards of disengaging from Picardo. Playing on the northeast side, the zone just about to close in. Everybody has managed to actually sneak their way in somehow by hook or by crook. And it centers up fairly solidly yet again. So it is just once more compressing these teams together.
Yeah, this is... And if you look at this circle, it didn't shrink that much. But take account of how many teams just lost that zone. Every team around the edge side now has to, like you said, compress further once more. Vampire taking some shots right now at Inco. These two teams do have to move on in. And it looks like Inco's going to go ahead and rotate. Vampire, once again, having to rotate on the backs of everyone else.
Playing on edge, I mean, we talked about it for week one. It's not the worst right now. I mean, it seems to be relatively successful in the right hands. Vampire, it felt like they kind of fell flat in the game we just saw with one of the strongest compounds in the circle. And he managed to pick up 8 points. Hopefully this time around, playing on the edge, they can have a little bit more strength. It is a team, I mean, it was one of Seven's teams to watch, right? That we are looking for great things. But after their downturn over in their regional leagues, their qualification spot from PMWI is being called into question. And they aren't answering it yet. Hopefully we'll see more from them.
Hopefully so. Maybe they just are better fighting in from the edge. We'll see. They'll get a chance to do that here as HVVP taking down 2 of the Star Wars players. Actually, Pico won't manage.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's one hell of a roadblock from HVVP. Store getting absolutely torn to shreds as they try and move through the Western Road. HVVP letting them know, well, actually, hang on a minute. We're the Western champions here. This is what's going on. You're going to have to take a backseat on this. USG, a bit of a scrap with the remnants of Stalwart as they try and find any sort of sanctuary. Top torn down last, so it's Missile to take the shot.
Yeah, that is Star Wars eliminated in a blink of an eye. The rotations, too tough for them, and ending up driving past 2 teams, but that HVVP accuracy just tore that player out of the car. I don't think I've seen a player get torn out of the car and the car continues to fly forwards like that. That was gnarly to see.
That's that Miramar terrain. It keeps him going, keeps him bumping. Happens, it happens. Fireflux close to the Pittsburgh Knights. Slow on roll by. To pick up some points potentially. Lutz not landing the shots with the Mini 14. Trying to get the spray on with the AKM instead, but the Pittsburgh Knights evading all danger, it seems, and Lutz taking the majority of the flak. HVVP are right around the corner as well. The Pittsburgh Knights don't really have anywhere to go that's super safe, but if Lutz is going to miss shots like that, maybe they can just push straight on up. There's HVVP, though, to slow things down, and Lutz might be able to get away with it.
I think the Knights thought they were just chasing down the Fireflux team that they were whittling down, but they end up running into the 4-man team of HVVP, biting off way more they could chew. And the Knights are getting picked apart now, and ooh, Lutz just getting peppered from everywhere right now. Next circle shifts on up to the high ground majority. Nova on that low ground, still in the zone, and we have lost 2 teams now, Star Wars and Fireflux.
This is the HVVP I like to see. This is the team on the warpath, already picking up 4 eliminations on the game. Half of the eliminations that have gone through in this lobby right now, only 8 players have gone down. And they are doing work so far. They've moved from that western road over to the north side, and they're going to have to push south into the next circle.
Yeah, HVVP playing this just like the Erangel game, right? Coming in from the edge, controlling the edge side, preventing teams from getting by. Yeah, it's just, this is their bread and butter. Hopefully, they might get an even better game than game number 1. Game 1, it came down to that donut crash that they could not break. So this time around, USG Donuts are actually on the northern side with them. We might see a rematch potentially between HVVP and the USG Donuts.
From from their first game. Vampire close by as Inko rolls right on up to Schweppes. There's no chance there. Squash puts him in to the blender. They're picked apart. That is unfortunate. Vampire losing a player on that eastern side. They tried to play from the edge. Inko roll up as 4 on one of their players. Alpha 7, also close to bacon time. Carrillo wants the challenge over the top of the ridge, but doesn't quite win it out. Mythic wants the revenge and will be able to find it. But the backup is better for bacon time. The flush actually goes through onto Shirty. Ice hops out, and Mythic now fading the shots, trying to fall back, draw them into the crosshairs of his teammates as well. Noise is there. Mythic runs around the side, takes him down. Now 2 players on this ridge line as Revo and Mafioso look to go for the backup. Ice and Almstyle, 2 players active now for bacon time as Mythic still holding down this anchor position on the front. Pretty isolated though, but Revo moves up for the backup. Almstyle around the side, wants to put those nades around the edge, slow things down, but takes a little bit too much damage himself and ends up going down. Mythic moving into the smoke, will be felled, but here's the backup. Here's Revo, here's Mafioso, and Alpha 7 should stand strong unless Ice can pull something out of the hat, but he goes low, into the smoke, jumping around, still hasn't been found, and finally, he's taken out.
What a valiant fight. That's another rematch. Bacon took it over Alpha 7 the first time. Now Alpha 7 taking one over bacon time. Great fight. Great hustle from both teams. We saw how fast that engagement happened, but there's still more to be had, John, as Inko having to edge into the zone and Power coming up right next to them, and that is Inko taken out. Now it's Udo Alliance and Inko on the eastern side of the map.
We'll have to try and fight for Power around the area there. On the north side, HVVP continue to crunch through, still playing as 4. You can imagine they're looking to sweep out this eastern side. The USG Donuts on that north, still close to Meku. Might be able to spot that one out. The next circle just about to pop. 1 million esports, their 2-2 split gives them so many options.
So much sightlines and control of everything, and they might decide to continue to hold this next circle. Cuts right down into the middle between the low ground and the high ground. This does prompt HVVP from the north side to once again have to move in, and it might be against the side of USG Donuts as that's the closest position with a hard cover.
Udo Alliance trying to disengage here, swing down an open hillside. It's bare, it's barren. Reaper Boy's going to make that push. Gets over to another ridgeline cover from Evos, but goes over it. Wants to move a little bit further in and a little bit further south. This is close to danger. Udo Alliance, whilst also taking fights with Nova, a little bit further north of them. Potential location that they're looking to crash, but they're going to know it's occupied now.
Everybody's seeing what they could do here with this new circle order with some really nice top fires right there. Finds one of Udo Alliance. Evos finds another. It looks like the Udo Alliance team can't find which way they want to go, taking shots from multiple teams from within the zone.
Spray down, and Repo Boy is flushed out by Nova. Evos not going to be able to pinch that one away. Nova really going to be a difficult mark to move past for pretty much everyone at this stage. You've got Udo Alliance up in the hills who are stopping Power from trying to go for this crash fully. They can't with those sightlines available onto them.
They definitely can't. And their vehicles are getting picked apart too. Them being on the edge of zone, if they don't get the next one, they're going to have to run it in on foot. That is not a very nice situation to be in. The circle still slowly closing in. We still have a couple more fights that have yet to happen. We have Skylights on the north side here with the USG Donuts and HVVP. All 3 teams might be looking at the same spot for the rotation in here.
Matic down the hillside. AJ not tagging the buggy there. Unfortunate. It's not going to slow HVVP down one jot. They're crashing straight on through. Kitsune though, caught, flushed, open. Mafia Boy will be able to pick that one up, but the rest of HVVP will continue to sling around the ground foothills here. Boro first to go down as Meku opens up with the AKM. Leads the charge on in as well.
Wow.
Matic, Meku, Tixi playing through. Nade over the top of the ridgeline. 2 players now stand in the way for the Skylights Gaming squad, but here come the USG Donuts, a little bit of a rematch. DBS close range, not going to matter. Lufa put back in place. And look at that, second to fall as well.
Wow.
Matic is down in the meantime, sure, but Tixi with the Groza will move in as Overwatch pushing on down south. They're going to have to move in and finally maybe getting picked apart. But one player still stands and HVVP will not give up the Ghost. Tixi will swap the weapons, will get the knocks, and he'll keep on going. 9 eliminations.
Are you
There's
kidding
more
me?
on the cards. He's going to move straight on through. He's a dog of war right now. Tixi taking blood for blood right now against Skylights Gaming on the north side, moves through, doesn't want to let this one go, knows Nima's low, knows he got the tags, spots the players, nope, doesn't see a crate, will go for
No
the spray,
way.
the challenge, and
Oh.
finally put back. It looked a little bit hopeful there. I wanted him to make it happen, but they'll have to take it. They'll have to take the 10 limbs.
That was the most aggressive thing I've seen in all my years of PUBG Mobile competitive action. The HVVP, usually when you get shot at by 4 people driving in, you turn the other way. Instead, HVVP just gunned it straight to them, almost took out the entire team, while getting third-partied by USG Donuts, and then absolutely slapping the 2 members of USG Donuts down at the same time with fighting another 4-man team. That was absolute madness.
I mean,
Oh my.
It took 3 teams to take them down, right? They
Yeah.
were absolutely on the warpath there. 12 limbs on the game. That is nuts. That's, I mean, sure they went down here, but like that is crazy to be able to accrue that much this early.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time you were running that play-by-play, I was just like, no way. No way.
Hey,
Like,
I've seen these guys
what?
in action for like 2 months now, so I'm used to their shenanigans. They just rip those bulletproof vests off. They're just going in like, I don't need nothing. I'm going.
It's like, oh, we're getting shot at by this direction. All right, we're pushing that way. Oh man, that was a sight to behold, man. I am HVVP. I love the way they're playing. They're sticking true to their guns, like you said. That's how they usually always play. I'm glad they're not changing anything up when it comes to the global stage.
I mean, they have that switch to flick, and it seems like they figured out they can turn it on here. So really, really good news for them. I mean, sure, they go down in what, like 10th place, but they're going to be one of the highest scoring teams in this game. I mean, top 5 for sure with those points that they're able to pick up. So really good stuff. And I said they were a team I wanted to watch here at Miramar. Seems like I was right to keep an eye out for them. You're seeing them in the next lobby. Shots from 1 Million Esports now controlling. This is a team that's been playing Central for a long time now, Zute.
Yeah, up on the high ground as well. The angle's so nice from up here. Looks like UDO Alliance down to last member. I think, is he in? He's in the blue. Yeah, or is he not? No, he's definitely in the blue.
He will be.
Yeah, taken down.
Is.
Yeah, that's going to be it for UDO Alliance. Like I said, not able to keep any of your vehicles up. You're pretty much just locked into that shed, which adds their coffin. As Blue Zone slowly creeps in, I think every other team has kind of pretty much made their spot in the zone. We might see another knock or 2 come out the way, but that should be it for now until we see where the zone shifts on the next circle.
USG Donuts with 2. Missile. Crawling around on the hillsides there. Paraboy spots a player up the top. Nice angle, but it's pinched away there. Forest from down 1. Able to pick up the point there. Nice result from the south side. Alpha 7 close by to down 1. USG Donuts on that top side on the north. But it's kind of between Nova and 1 Million Esports in my mind at this stage.
I think it comes down to if the circle goes up or down. See very shortly. Only 2, we do have Damwon too on the high ground with 4, so they could actually come into play. Also, and the circle does favor the high ground, as majority of that is on this western side. Damwon now having to make a slight adjustment as they're just a little bit away from the zone, but they do have Alpha 7 close by with 3 members that they might have to contest for this next circle spot.
The good news is they're down to 3. The bad news is Alpha 7. We know how strong this team is in a fight. We've seen them scrap it out before. Taken down by the previous winners, but this time around they got their revenge. Bacon Time did fall to their barrels. But Alpha 7 looking to maybe disengage a little bit here. These ridge lines in front of them, not ideal for moving down when there's a team to your side. If you're only contending with teams beneath you, it's a little bit stronger, but because of that threat, they'll need to be a little bit more cautious.
Yeah, I kind of want to see Damwon just take the initiative to take the fight to Alpha 7, because if they don't fight here now, I feel like it's just going to get more difficult for them on the next circle. But they're safe for now, so just as I say that, Mafioso catches one player out for Damwon. Now Damwon is down to 3. And they are kind of making their way towards Alpha 7, but after losing that player, I don't know if they have the info that Alpha 7 lost a player earlier in the match. So they might think it's an unfavorable fight for them as far as the numbers go.
Nova spot USG Donuts up the top of the hill. Order empties the mag, doesn't get the knock. Instead, it's King to be able to pick that one up. They will be looking for the flush. That opens up a little bit of an opportunity as well. They're going to take it. Both hands. Nova straight up that hillside. As soon as they get that knock, they move into a position where they're on that high ground. It's really solid decision-making here. 2 versus 1 around the side of the rock, and Nova will win it out. King is taken down. Can he be picked up by Order? Can they get this res? I'm not entirely sure they have time to go for it right here, but they can crawl forwards, move into a little bit more cover, and play with this ridgeline. An excellent crossing from Nova.
Oh, and also more excellent, always keeping track of the flanks. Paraboy takes some shots, though, down to 1 HP. Caught wide in the open. Paraboy is going to go down here. And that is the member of Power picking up 1, but that should be it as he is forced into the open and multiple teams taking sidelines on him. It's actually going to be Damwon that confirms that one. Nova down to just actually 1 player now. King in Order knocked. King never got revived. 1 million could go aggressive here, but then they have Alpha 7 over the top side that could third party. And then on top of that, Damwon could choose to act off of that as well. So I think everyone is going to just kind of play things a little bit slower, allowing the Nova team to get a reset onto 3.
Yeah, no one's going to make that push. It is really only 1 million that can go for it. But they will bide their time for now. Down 1, sending a player out in a vehicle, getting some scouting done down the hill. Forest moving that party bus. That loot crate could be really quite pivotal as cover on the hillside. It would be an obvious position, sure, but it could be a linchpin for Dam 1 if they want to try and move across this hillside once they've dealt with Alpha 7.
Yeah, this is so tricky for all of these teams right now. 1 million, who had the most prime position throughout the entirety of the match, now find themselves kind of pincered in between Nova and Alpha 7.
Ooh, down 1. Another knock from Mafioso. Steps up for a second challenge, Fabian. You can't take these 1v1s in Order. Mafioso low, but the rest of the team are rallying on in Alpha 7. Looking good in the fight against Down 1. They're on the swivel. Forest looks for the challenge over the ridgeline and puts Mythic back, but won't fall for another. Revo deals with it, handles business, and Alpha 7 stay alive. But they will have to get this res onto Mythic. This is Nova's go time now. With that Chaos Zone into the Alpha 7 ranks, leaving 3 teams alive. That nade over the top puts 1 million back in their place.
Yeah, 1 million. Even though they have the numbers advantage, with all 4 players coming out of one little chokehold, might not actually play out into their favor. We see the nades coming in, a lot of nade damage, and also Alpha 7 over the top, taking shots at them as well, and that is 1 member down from Venom.
Venom falls on the outside, gets to cover across the way, but Nova is spreading out their line very, very effectively. Shots again from Alpha 7 up top, 8 eliminations with 2 in the oven to pick on up, but Nova steals 1 of those away. They pull it out, and they pull in 1 million out of this compound as well. Only Lazy Boy is there. Order knocked back by a nade, so still a chance on the egress. Sprays from down low onto Revo from King. Actually, Mafioso falling as well. King last standing for Nova down the bottom. Hang on a minute. No, he's got Jimmy still in action. 1 million eliminated. Jimmy moving forwards. 1 player to fall. Jimmy goes down in the 1 versus 1, but now it's Mythic versus King. 1 versus 1 on the hillside.
Oh!
And it comes from the top rope. It's Alpha 7. Gonna be able to pop off for Brazil.
What a great ending. The trades back and forth, the kill feed popping off. I didn't think Nova had it in them to take 2 fights at the same time. They cleaned out 1 million while also getting trade knocks on Alpha 7 back and forth, but ultimately Alpha 7 came out on top. It came down to that 1v1. Both players down to that 1 HP. That was an intense last ending.
I mean, we saw Influence Kamen last week do quite spectacular things. A Brazilian team again answering the call here in Group Green, in one of the hardest groups again. So phenomenal to see that. National pride through the roof right now for the Brazilians, but plenty of other good performances. Nova picking up the pieces from that first game.
Oh yeah, it's that first game they only got 4 points, but here we got to see them play more of their typical style and second place finish. But Alpha 7 playing their style hard and fast. Their initiative to take that fight with Damwon, you saw how fast and decisive they were on that, and that's what I was saying Damwon should have done to Alpha 7, because if they take that fight later, it's just going to get more difficult, and that did indeed end up being the death of Damwon Gaming. But Alpha 7, man, looking good.
Really, really are. Phenomenal stuff coming through from the Alpha 7 roster, but you can't forget HVVP on this one. I mean, they were absolutely mental this game. It was absolutely incredible to see that fight on the hillside. They just go in and in and in, and they keep coming out on top until finally they don't. And it came down to a 1 versus 1 in those final moments. They go down early, we get a whole heap of points. In the end, though, it's Alpha 7 to take it home.
Imperium said it. Alpha 7 was the squad to watch in Miramar, and boom, Alpha 7 come out with the chicken dinner right there towards the end. I mean, man, they controlled that high ground, and they just took it over. I mean, what else can you do? That is the one
Kings
team
of Miramar,
you do
man.
not want to get zoned.
Yeah, incredibly impressive. Early on, they kind of pushed back HVVP up on that kind of northeastern side, and yes, that phase 1 did complement their drop spot, right? But then, off the back of kind of pushing HVV back, they then scaled down south, and they looked to control the southwest edge. And they were very proactive on their movements. They were patient, and it worked out in the end. That fight against Damwon Gaming was so good.
It was really good, but I mean, what Dixie was able to do in that last match, it was absolutely impressive. You can see the numbers right there. 6 eliminations, 839 damage, 31% contribution, and obviously we just saw what Mythic was able to do as well. Something to point out for Alpha 7 is that now it's back-to-back games that they have come across baking time. Luckily for them, they were able to actually win the engagement here in Miramar, but I wonder if this is something that we're going to be seeing a lot more of Imperium.
Indeed, indeed. Looking at the kind of top performers, Tixie, Mythic, Mafioso, we expect to see those 3. Lazy Boy being up there 4 eliminations. He was the one player from the team to be kind of, for the majority of the game, kind of outside of the team. Like, he covered a little bit on the western edge. But arguably, he also symbolized the overall team performance. It was quite lazy. They hung on to that compound for far too long.
Far too long indeed. You know, and that's what happens here, especially with these kind of teams and players. I mean, if you just make that hesitation just for a little second, they will take advantage of you. And I love the fact that Nova, right there towards the end, they realize the situation. They realize the zone, and Alpha 7 is looking at Nova and say, hey, why don't we worry about these guys here and figure out who's going to win at the end? And it came down to that 1v1. And of course, you know, Alpha 7 pulled out the dub. But hey, Nova putting up some big points on the board here, 7.
They definitely are, and this is kind of the bounce back, right, that we wanted to see out of match 1. Is something that I was kind of hinting at. Yeah, they did end up getting 4 eliminations in the first Enrigo, but it's not the performance that we wanted to see out of them. And now, if we're keeping track, technically, it's 2-0 for Alpha 7 because they end up eliminating Nova again. I want to rewind a little bit, though. 1 million. I feel like, and this is something we were talking about when we were watching the game to Imperium. You mentioned it perfectly. They were just too lazy. They didn't want to do anything. I felt like they were just waiting for everybody, for all the other fights to play out, and they decided to just be way too patient. At the end, it ended up backfiring because they just waited too long. The fights had played out. Alpha 7 was looking at them, and then Nova was really right up on their nose.
Early game, I was somewhat kind of happy with how they were adjusting to the circle shifts. They played some kind of 2-2 splits, but in a positive way. But yeah, as soon as they got to that compound, it was just kind of like, yeah, we're going to stay there. And look, you can be calculatively passive, but when you hear shots, you got to be able to react to those in the right way. For example, when Nova heard and saw the team fight end between Down 1 and Alpha 7, they started to engage on 1 million. It's that simple little bit of extra awareness that if 1 million can catch on to that, they will succeed in a lot more games.
Interesting there. You know, I might have to disagree with you a little bit, guys, there, but you know what?
Okay.
That's something coming up right now. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree because I don't know if that was so much laziness as much as it was fear. Think about it. You know, they knew what was coming up. They knew it, but we'll talk about that more as we go back from a quick break.
Compañeros de PUBG Mobile, prepárense para experimentar los nuevos eventos que se vienen. Prepárense y únanse. Disfrutar el juego.
And we're back here. So back to the point that I was talking about earlier. When it comes to 1 million hanging back, you know, I know you said it could be a little bit of laziness, but I really do think it was them just seeing the situation, all right?
Yeah.
You look, you say, hey, you have the spot. We're safe. We're in the global championships. We need to put some points on the board.
Yeah.
We're seeing Alpha 7 take out everybody. The previous champions taking out everybody. I think we'll just hold back just a little bit for a little bit longer. So I can't say I blame them, but hey, you're right. That little thing could really cost you here. But you know what's not going to cost you anything is that Xperia 1 for an Xperia stream, dude. We're creating in collaboration with professional esports players. Make sure you go and play PUBG Mobile in 90 hertz with the Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. Man, so much to talk about here. You know, 7. Nova had a really, really great performance there. And make sure that they need to follow us, right? On the TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
You know what? You mentioned Nova there for a second. Something to point out, too. I was hinting at Alpha 7 going up against Bacon once again. Another one that we saw earlier was Nova against Power. They lost a player to Power once again. But you can see Alpha 7 with that win being able to jump up to that first place. 30 points total for that team. Skylights Gaming there with 29 points. Bacon, even though they didn't have one of the greatest performances, the performance that they had there on Erangel allows them to be there within the top 3. And HBVP, man, what an impressive play by Tixie as well, Imperium.
Yeah, very good by Tixie. And even just the team as a whole, right? On that rotation, going back to that last match, like they lost a player, but they didn't hesitate. They just kept on going. They were like a bulldozer. And sometimes the best defense is more offense, right? And that proved to be the case. But looking down at the second half of the rankings, Fireflux Esports surprisingly lack of points in the first 2 games. PK, yeah, I expected them to struggle to begin with, but I do sense that there's potential for them to climb back up, of course. And also Inco, my first team to watch. They've been kind of nowhere to be seen, 7.
Yeah, they're currently hiding, but guess what? We're going to Sandhawk. We have seen in the past what some of this Brazilian, and I want to see more out of Knights too. I feel like we really haven't been able to see much of them. We didn't really see much of them in the first game. In the second game, they ended up conceding Picado to Vampire Esports, which was actually quite surprising, and it ended up working out perfect for them.
Sure.
But in the Sandhawk here, come on. Like, let me see that firepower that you guys tend to showcase in Americas and North America. Knights.
I think it's going to be a bit more of a slow burner for Knights across the board. They're from a region that arguably isn't the most strongest when it comes to that full-on competitive pool. When we look at the likes of Thailand and even Brazil and all that jazz. So I think it's going to be them kind of looking to utilize the 4 days and the 24 games they have to kind of feel into that. Dukes, and I think in time they will show it.
Yeah, hopefully they do. Let's take a look at the teams to watch that you guys picked here for this match. I know you got Knights there on the board. Hopefully we can. I got the fingers crossed for them at Sandhawk because, man, this is a heck of a group to be in.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I mean, with what I was talking about Knights, they tend to perform pretty well, too, when it comes to Sandhawk. They tend to be a little bit more aggressive. I know you mentioned they're coming from a region that's not very strong, but they continue to be that aggressive.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they completely change their playing style because they are currently here in Global and more teams are going to be able to out-frag them or just be more aggressive than them. That would just be a Knights that I'm not used to. So that's why I'm hoping they actually start being a little bit more aggressive here.
And when you think of Sandhawk on the global stage, you think of Stalwart, right? Stalwart godlike. This team has dominated Sandhawk game after game, going back to the South Asian Championships and otherwise. The thing that they're going to have to contend with is with the shift in the circle algorithm, you're naturally going to have more teams inside the circle coming into Phase 3, Phase 4, Phase 5. So that is going to put a bit of pressure on the possible landmass that the likes of Stalwart have and the amount of potential third parties that might go against it. But then again, you can say the same for all of the teams in this lobby.
Anybody could pop off. I mean, literally, any one of these teams. We're in the big show here, and this is the hard part. It's like, we've been waiting for this for so long. This is the time to shine. It happens once a year. It's right here, right now, and you got to show up. Even the previous champs have to show up if they want to make it in the finals.
They definitely do, and I mean, with Sandhawk coming up, you mentioned it too, anybody can pop off. I do want to see some performances, some better performances out of Fireflux, and I'm so glad you mentioned Godlike. Because they had a horrible performance there in that Miramar. They ended up with just 0 points, and that's just something that we're not used to. I don't want people in the chat starting to put in overrated.
Oh, that's tough. Overrated. That's tough. I mean, this is where it's at, and this is a lot of talk has been happening from a lot of these squads. But I'll tell you what, my eyes are gonna be on boot camp here at this Sandhawk match. Are they going to have a hot drop? We're going to take a look here into the battleground. And we see some players here just getting ready for the Sandhawk. Oh, look at this. Wow, the Knights. Oh, Coops, not looking too happy so far.
But yeah, just want to point that out because it's something I didn't really have a chance to mention. Uneven is a former NA Pro player. He's currently playing in the Japanese Pro League as well, and he's come to help to support the team from a morale side, throw a little bit of ice in between games, and I'm really hoping that his experience, his expertise will really help the team succeed in this group.
Yeah, I know they definitely have their coach with them, but I mean, if they're able to get a little bit more eyes on the game and get a little bit of a different perspective of what's going on, that's hopefully going to help out the Knights even more. Skylights, this is the team that I was mentioning. I want to see even more out of them. They have showed great potential so far.
They're second overall, 7.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I want to actually see a chicken dinner out of them, and I want to see it here on that first day, Imperium.
And that's what worries me about Skylights, right? Is because they tend to play a little bit slower, and although they've shown a bit of sharpness in the first 2 games, it tends to be where as you get through a tournament where other teams adapt a bit quicker, they get drowned out. So you're right. I really want to see that kind of Skylights former DRS roster really show their strength in this day 1 and grab a chicken dinner.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. I mean, hey, you can see it's time to get to business right here. The headsets are on. These guys are getting locked and loaded, ready to go. Sandhawk's coming up, and hey, the whole first aid heal strat is out the window now. You got to go, and you got to get it done. So speaking of getting it done, let's take it on over to our casters.
We are heading into Sandhawk. As you can see, all the players locked and loaded, ready to get into the jungle for the first of the new Miramar lobbies of Group Green. We saw it last week. some heavy dynamic changes into the zones. And this time around, I'm expecting no different.
Yeah, and I think this time around, one thing that we can expect are maybe increased hot drops with so many heavy-hitting fighting teams that like to take those 4v4s. We saw one already in each game. A hot drop did come out. First match, it was Gatka. Second match, it was Picado. Even though a full-out fight didn't break, I do imagine we'll have more happening here in this Sandhawk. And who's going to take Boot Camp? And who's going to take Paradise Resort? And I think it's a little underrated, but I feel like Painan is also a great spot to have a hot drop for. And I do believe that is where Nova typically drops in Painan, so they might have to contest the team for that location as well.
I'm interested in, I've spoken about them a lot in the last game, but I'm interested in HVVP because in their tournament play, they've gone for some interesting drops on Sandhawk. I'm wondering if the dynamics of this circle are going to change that. They would drop in a 2-1-1 split, 2 over towards the Northwest Island Mountain, leaving 1 further south on one of those confluence compounds on the trifecta on the west side, and 1 on the east side as well. So I'm wondering if they're going to be given that space here as well. We're going to find out momentarily as we head over Sandhawk.
Sandhawk, here it is. The most brutal map of all, with the most brutal group out of all 3 groups playing, making this potentially the most brutal game that we are about to witness. People are jumping out of the plane here. We do see a nice even spread stretching out. No huge clumps of colors all in one spot. It might actually just be that we don't see the hot drop in boot camp, that's for sure. It looks like Star Wars is going to be the one that takes that. And here's that drop you're talking about with HVVP taking that northwestern side, but one of their members looks like it's going to get contested near the trifecta area.
And this is the drop that they went for when nobody went to Camp Alpha, so this is fair enough. They're going to go a little bit closer together on the Northwest Island. Instead, the Pittsburgh Knights kind of playing that drop that HVVP were going for before in a couple of tournaments. They're playing split around that confluence.
Yeah, and it looks like the only hot drop would be around the Ruins area. This might be more of an elongated fight with Inko and Damwon Gaming.
I don't think Inko want part of this right now. I imagine Becca's just beating a hasty retreat. But then again, the rest of the players can move in, find some angles. If Forrest is caught out in the open, it's a really good opening. His left flank is very, very exposed, but Becca being a little bit more drafty right now. As the rest of Damwon are rolling straight on in. They know there's a player here, has only got that UMP, unlikely to have meds on this early of the drop. Junie bringing that DBS in. They pioneered it back in PMWI to bring it back to the forefront of the meta. And then DBS will be looking to enter into this one as well. Out for the knock, out for the flush.
Man, Damwon descended upon him like bloodhounds right there. And it looked like you said, the rest of Inko wanted no part of that. That's 1 player down. We're going to get a second casualty already. So no hard hot drops, but the action is going to pick up very quickly as Evos will lose a player as well.
So Power on the north side, on the northwest side of Paradise Resort. A little bit of a spread drop for Power. Kante at the moment on the southeast side will bear the brunt of the egress from Evo from Paradise Resort. And we'll be able to hold out strong. I mean, they've lost, as you say, not fully lost the player just yet, but there's no way you get that player back up. Evos maybe being baited out by Conte. And they're just going to go for that flush.
I'm looking at the map right now. So many teams are dropping extremely split all throughout the map. We see 1 million on the north side, right? Not in Tapmock or Cow entirely, but instead just spread across the northern hemisphere of the edge. And we might see another engagement here between Star Wars and the Knights. I don't think Spec has any idea whatsoever that Pika is right there.
Godlike Stalwart, it's pretty crucial that they secure a route out of boot camp, and this is what Pika's going for. Caught in the cross. Spec blindsided there, and Pittsburgh Knights lose a player on what was probably one of the stronger positions as well, which is really unfortunate with that set of with that confluence of rivers, that trifecta slap bang in the center of the circle. With 4 players, they could have exerted so much control over this topic.
Yeah, typically the Knights get boot camp for themselves back on the Americas side, and they always go for that compound that Spec was at. But this time around, you know, if you're not starting off in boot camp, they kind of have priority. They're a bit quicker to get there, and Spec will suffer because of that. Here we see Fireflux coming in, also wanting to take control of this mountaintop. And with the Knights losing that one player, it looks like they're going to give up the hill entirely, because every single time this zone comes up in the Americas region, we will see the Knights up here taking full dominant control. This time, it's going to come down to Fireflux doing a quick rotation, getting 1, 2, 3, maybe the entirety of STE here.
Ooh, it looks like, I mean, God, like Stalwart, they've just been picked up on rotations, I think twice in a row now. Yeah. It's been so unfortunate for them. Pika now the last standing for the squad. Fireflux looking to burn him out of position as well. Once again, retreats to the edge of the shack, lines up 2, but it's not going to be enough. And God, like Stalwart fall down 16th place. It is not good enough.
Stalwarts is struggling a lot here. That's the one problem with boot camp. When there's that much loot, you might take a little bit more time than needed. Fireflux, by the way, they did a huge split, like 2-2, from stretching from the eastern side of the quarry all the way to the western side of the quarry. And because they did a split, they didn't have that much to loot, so they hustled up to that mountaintop very quickly and completely caught the Stalwart team off guard. And that Stalwart's just once again out, only with 12 points total so far over the course of 3 games.
Nova playing on either side of Painan right now, seeming to favor the western edge. Paraboy scouting out on the hillsides there. They want some information, if nothing else. Power, after picking up a player from EVOS, will move south. They're just hitting the northern warehouses and the northern side of boot camp now in this circle. Does give them that opportunity to rotate west across the water if they need to shift over to that northwest island.
Power now coming in from the northern side, taking the boot camp area that the former Stalwarts team was just at. Here's that quick replay. The 1, 2, 3, and just getting cut down to shreds right there.
What do you do? What can you do? Yeah. You just get blindsided.
Oh, look at that.
That is...
Oh, yeah. He's slamming the table. Yeah, no,
that's a desk slammer.
Yeah, I would feel the same. They had the prime position, great loot, great everything, and just they knew they messed up. They took 1 second too long to make that little drive over, and it cost the entire team. And they are frustrated due to the first 2 games as well. Bacon Time coming in from the southwestern edge on the water. Third partying this fight between Nico and Damwon Gaming.
Seems like this western edge, you're right, it is really kind of quite jam-packed at this stage. Surprisingly so. I mean, that river shore, that bridge, sorry, that is going to be very important for maneuvering around if you have to shift on the islands. But still, there's quite a few people with decent presence there. Damwon probably looking to just stay safe off this. They are all 4 alive, so playing under the bridge, it's not the worst idea in the world. They will have opportunities. There's a boat right there. They can go around and wide if they need to, but the next circle will decide the tempo.
Yeah, is this the second circle? We've seen so much fighting already.
Yes.
Yeah. We're just now heading into the second circle, John. And it is a hard western shift. So the eastern side of the map, probably everyone knows, won't be in play towards the later stages of the game. So everyone's going to start migrating to the west. And that works out great for Bacon. By sweeping on that southwestern side, they essentially will make sure there's no one at their backs. And they're going to push out people to just only be able to worry about their front side now.
Alpha 7 playing on the edge once more, but they've got USG Donuts on their northeast. That's on the back of their rotation. You can see them just peeping into the top of that mini-map there on the northeast. But they are ahead at the moment. The scouts from Donuts USG might spot them out in the vehicles, but that should be heard by Alpha 7 and they'll be aware of it. EVOS, They've been spotted. Micro Boy shimmying the car around the buildings. They're not going to take the fight just yet, though.
Yeah. I think teams want to... It's not like Miramar, where you have a lot of ridges and you can isolate fights on Sandhawk. The threat of third-partying is always prevalent. So they'll take some shots, take some peeks, but I think every team is going to just rather hunker down and find some good cover to play from to mitigate those chances of getting hard third party. And yeah, Alpha 7 continuing to rotate in, close to the edge of zone now. USG, like you mentioned, following behind the backs of both Evos and Alpha 7.
Fireflux as the backstop for all of these teams on the eastern side. It all depends really on when Fireflux decide to move, and that's going to be a difficult decision for them to make. They're in this circle. They don't need to move right now. So I imagine we might see quite a few teams start to move south around Fireflux, potentially even moving through Painan into where Yudu Alliance are and Nova are on that western side. Inco, not looking super healthy. They only have 2 players remaining and they're wild split. So V2 2K at the moment, basically a solo for Bacon Time to pick up if they drop down a level, but it seems like keeping quiet's working out for now.
Yeah, a lot of nooks and crannies here in this Ruins area. I don't think Bacon Time's actually going to be able to find him. Like, if the zone keeps ending here, there's a good chance he might just chill here for the rest of the game as Nova getting caught off. Nova right now looking at the map, they were playing a huge 1-1-1-1 split, and one of them gets caught right there. So not working out too well for Nova. Nova down to 3. You can see right here, if you look at order on the minimap, no other teammate in sight in that top right. So yeah, everybody's playing extremely split from Nova, but I mean, that's just how Nova does. They always like to play split up in the center of zone. This time around, they will suffer a casualty because of that.
This is the Fireflux roadblock in effect now. Players are starting to fall. EVOS lose 1 to a knock. Alpha 7 also under fire. Everybody forced to fight on this lateral north-south line. V2 2K, okay, hang on a minute, we're hopping right back over to Ruins. Remember, this is the solo player from Inco. Yeah. Going up against the entirety of Bacon Time, holding his nerve on this staircase. We'll be able to spot the player close to it. Wants to put a nade in from Noise. It's a little bit too long on the cook, but down they go, flooding in. We'll be able to find it. There's the knock. Bacon Time losing a player, though. Pretty impactful. The next circle pops on in.
And further to the west we go. Alpha 7 right now getting caught by the USG Donuts team. And yeah, Fireflux right now causing trouble for everybody on this eastern side, forcing them to fight. And here we have Power on the north side getting some shots in onto USG Donuts as well. And it looks like Donuts, are they going to go aggressive and take the fight with Alpha 7? I would like to see that, because that rotation that they have to make right now is way too tough. They may as well secure the points, and Alpha 7 not catching a break. Evos now coming in to take a fight.
Taking shots over towards Carrillo. Micro Boy able to land those when he needs to. Go under pressure behind the rock. Will need to leave. Oh, I think he just catches sight of him through the corner of the tree there, just between the branches. Wow. Revo takes some shots over the Micro Boy's way, but is going to be enveloped by the blue now. And as we know, you can't out-heal the blue anymore in Sandhawk, so you do have to get a move on.
Taking a look back on the side of things with Nova right now. They are in this new circle shift. Now they can find themselves on the edge. They have to worry about what's in front of them and on the flank, because there's more teams coming in from the eastern side. Yudu Alliance might get the reset onto their 4th member there. Smoke's come down. I think he's going to have to crawl back because they're worried about that spot getting naded. And the Knights looking okay right now with 3 on the edge of the zone at that trifecta bridge compound area.
Swimming action from Donuts USG as the teams from near boot camp are going to opt for the river rotate, but with Coops up top, I mean, this is going to be tricky if he's going to play on this coastline, play on this northwest island in the position that he is. He has excellent sightlines over towards any swimmers, moving through Pittsburgh Knights with a solid split. This is the control that they were looking for playing this area. It's unfortunate that they lost that player.
Yeah. It is a strong split, though. They have their sightlines covered. They have support for one another. If Koops goes down, though, I don't think he's going to be able to get revived, but he's fishing. He should be okay. But Lufa is actually up on the rocks, so he's got to be careful. Lufa might swing over the top and get Koops. Koops still has the support of his teammates looking over his way.
They do have that suppressive line. Koops actually dropping down very, very low. Wants to finish off a flush if he can, but it's going to allow the Donuts USG team to get up onto the ridges and play from there. Might be spotted out by Tensor, though, in the meantime. He sees that crossing. He's identified the crucial part that's going to go up. HVVP have been very quiet, but with this shift, it's going to start to heat up for them. The compound that Meku currently holds the south corner of is going to be huge in this next circle.
You know, it's actually favorable for all the other teams that HVP does get the zone, because then they won't go on a warpath eliminating everyone. But this might be a huge chicken for HVP now, because towards the end of the stage of this game, they will have that high ground and they will have 4 up.
And they're going to be shredding everybody moving from the South Island. Zute, there's so many teams there.
Yeah, it is a cluster down there now on the south. But who knows? The circle might go back down south and keep the south side in zone. I mean, this river has been in every single circle shift, so there is a chance as USG doing what they can to stay alive. They have 4 members, but 2 of them are knocked. Blue is pressuring them from behind. They're caught between the Knights and Vampire. They don't know which way to go, and I think this is all but done for USG very soon.
Yeah, the blue zone will be doing the job if the Bullets won't. The Pittsburgh Knights controlling the river will finally have to leave. Get on a little bit deeper into the circle. Yeah, they're just getting peppered away.
Knights not able to secure any of these points, though. They have yet to find one. They're still at 0 eliminations. And, oh my gosh, HVP from the top of the mountainside, just sniping away some points here. They do pick up 1. Vampire, they're in a good spot. Vampire's right next to the zone, and Koops finds 2. So that is 2 points for the Knights. Much needed points right now for the Knights. The Knights, and overall, I think, yeah, if you take a look at that right-hand side, 15.
Trying to get some points on this game, try and ladder on up at the moment, though. Ooh, Nenebete doing a lot of work from under the bridge. The last player from Inco, by the way, taking down 2 of Skylights. Bacon Time are going to know about it now. Nima and Mr. Board will be going for the swim to try and get past that roadblock that was instituted in front of them. Only over of this position under the bridge is in the next zone as well. Gonna have to move.
I love how active Inco is. He knows if he just plays quiet, he's going to eventually get caught out with no points. So he's trying to stay as active as possible, but still cautious enough not to just go out early. Next zone coming up, and like the south side, still barely in zone, but that does give HVVP a lot of high ground still to work with. And when did Fireflux get up there?
What's going on?
They were on the eastern side of the map.
We're going to have to get the desk to talk about that one, because I have no idea. They were. I mean, sure. I mean, they just hopped in the TARDIS and teleported on up there. I have no idea. That's crazy.
There's no way they could rotate through all those teams to get up there. So
well, I beg to differ, Zute. There is, because they've done it. I mean, it's like...
I mean, did they loop back around from the east deep into the blue? I don't know. I am so
Maybe they
confused.
did. Maybe they came. Maybe they swung up north. Well, whatever it was. Pièce de resistance of rotation right there. I have no idea how it happened. But we're going to hop back on board with the Udo Alliance. Last player remaining. Olio on the outside. Playing off in the blue against that one, who've got 1 player stuck a little bit in the sidelines, but 2 players further forwards. Forest finds the route of egress, but gets cut down in the time being. A spray down, gets a flush to bring the elimination count up to 3. You can still heal out this phase of the blue. As Fireflux, they do go down, so that's the end of their road. But goodness me, don't know how that happened. Down 1, 2 players left really. Sung, and actually Junie gets picked up. And going to be eliminated in the meantime. This south side, I mean, it is turning into a bit of a brawl now.
Yeah, Microboy really showing his experience on the PMGC stage here. Last one for Evos. I'm surprised he managed to get all the way in here. Last we checked in on them, they were caught against Alpha 7 and the Fireflux team, but Microboy standing strong for his team, putting up a lot of placement points and elimination points here. And that nade might actually catch him. U2 Alliance still alive, runs in, and Microboy will finish that one out. The Knights also go down to the side of Nova. Nova staying strong, 1 million, fighting against Bacon Time, but meanwhile the Grim Reapers, that is HVVP, is just slicing everyone down from the top side.
They've been biding their time, but now they can start to rack up power. They can rank it on in, turn the wheel, put everyone under pressure. 1 million fight against Bacon Time still raging on this west side, but the blue zone's going to prove to be a difficult barrier to breach. Microboy chiming in with a third party to bring down Bacon Time. Looks for more as well. Last player for Evos. This is Microboy. I mean, we've seen this name for so long, and he's bringing it back here on Evos.
6 eliminations by himself right now on Sandhawk. He is, wow. I mean, I just want to say this real quick. Everyone, you know, when Microboy was on BTR, I was saying he's the weak link, but honestly, Microboy is a player in of himself. He is showing up right now. It's not all done yet, though. Microboy needs to make a move. Can he make that swim across and stay alive? We still got the 4-man team of HVVP on the northern side still to contend with, too.
The only 4-man squad as well. I mean, Vampire at the moment have the only hard cover, and that is going to be very, very valuable for them. You imagine that's a second place minimum guaranteed at this stage, barring any super hard shifts, but what more can be done? 1 million moving on the broadside against Microboy. We know how that's going to go. He is out in the blue zone. He's not going to go for the swim. He's just going to pick up the point.
Well
and bring it up to 8. 6th place, absolutely well done.
Yeah, nice composure. Yeah, 5th. Yeah, nice composure to not worry about the blue and trying to go in, and he maximizes another point. HVVP coming down from the northern side, getting shot at by Nova and Vampire. So HVVP, as strong as the position they're in, it's not as nice as it might seem.
Once they can pick up these teams on the south, if they can dispatch Nova, who, by the way, again, survived late into it. With the zone shifting away from Vampire, now it's a little bit more all to play for.
Another rematch between Nova and HVVP potentially. Yeah, Vampire's got to make a move. They're going to be wide in the open. HVVP has the cover, so does Nova. Nova has that ridge side to work with, and there is still one player out of 1 million that they have to watch out for. Paraboy finds one. That is Meku down, while Order dealing with the eastern side. This Nova team looking strong, but Jimmy goes down here.
Looking like the seals at the moment, just emerging from the water, not causing a ripple and blasting away. Stone up and forwards, actually taken down Jimmy earlier. Is traded off by Paraboy. We know he's quick on the trigger. Actually, was that Order coming in as well with 2 barrels pointed that way. HVVP trying to move into the circle. None of them are going to go down. They take a top and bottom position on the rock.
Nice.
And we'll be able to operate. Tixie, again, on the warpath. 3 players now alive for HVVP as they continue to move forward. They're pepper potting in. Order on the broadside to Marshall. The solo player from 1 million, proving to be devastating to the backlines.
Oh, now it's just down to Paraboy, and there's 3 of HVVP up. Paraboy could get this one knock. Nice headshots right there, but he crosses over, stays alive. He will survive for a little bit longer, and he does have the zone. He might even get, just maybe, get the revive onto Order.
HVVP, they'll know that Marshall's there now. He took shots over. I don't know if Order can make this crawl. Paraboy might be able to make the mad dash, and in fact will dip low for it under the headland. Over to the rock. If he can get these reses, great, but he sees these players lining up on the rock. He knows there's 2 there now. Shouldn't have too many more smokes, I'd imagine. I wonder if he's got too many nades. Marshall
that's a knock.
There's Tixie found. Excellent position. Nova are not chiming in. They're looking for those reses. Kitsune potentially on the lineup. Matic spotted. It is taken out by Paraboy. HVVP getting caught open. Marshall, last player, but it's Kitsune to stay alive. Can he stick the res? A nade over the top might be all it takes, and it looks perfect. It looks like it's on the money, but where's the explosion? It's not coming through. Just a little bit wide, but 2 more might be the final nail in the coffin. Kitsune forced to go for the challenge.
What a game.
Not even gonna matter. Jakarta. Nova rise from the depths. The river will not stop them. They get the cross. And it is a winner-winner chicken dinner from Nova.
Wow. You can't write a better story than that game that just happened right there. The two titans, Nova and HVVP, once again coming down to a rematch between the two. And that last sequence of events, that 1 million player, the linchpin, just wow, John. Just wow. What? Give me another Sandhawk. That was a very tactical game of Sandhawk. It was not very, like, just crazy slaughterfest that we usually see in Sandhawk that's really determined by the zone, right? I feel like that zone gave everyone, at least everyone that made it to the end, a huge fighting chance. Like, also, you know, Microboy, right? Maximize his points. Nova with that cross, they lost a player early. HVVP getting zoned the whole time, maximizing their points too, and almost winning that, but then there was so much going on in that game. Beautiful game, John. Beautiful.
Absolutely. I mean, the linchpin play coming through from Marshall, being able to take down Tixie, that was absolutely huge. It opened up the game for Nova. Without that, they don't win.
Yeah. I want to give us that same exact game again. I will cast the same thing. Like, that was such a joy to watch. Nova finally come out on top. HVVP, man, they picked up a lot of points. And it's just like, do you give HVVP the zone or do you not? Either way, they're going to do a mad number of damage on everyone.
Yeah, Nova doing so much work from the south side. We thought it was impossible, but they are world champions. They prove us wrong with a chicken dinner.
And the first Sandhawk here of this group, it's the previous PMGC World Champions Nova that pull out the chicken dinner. And man, that was a close one from all regards. But Nova, that zone coming to that south side really helped them out.
It definitely did, and I think another person that helped him out was that one player from 1 million. The stuff he was able to do in Imperium, we were going like, no way. Is this really happening?
Dude, it was so good to see kind of Marshall individually and then kind of 1 million in their own right showing a bit more prowess, something that I wanted to see from them from the previous game. They pushed up on the north side earlier on, took down Fireflux, and yeah, they really kind of stabbed HVVP in the back. But it was so good to see that kind of the two giants, as John and Zute put on it, between HVVP and Nova. It could have and probably should have been HVVP's if it wasn't for Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, Evo's Microboy, though. Can we talk about that performance that he was able to put up? 7 eliminations, 983 damage. Yeah, that's right. 66% contribution for his team. And something that actually Sute was able to mention perfectly, too, is that being in the zone didn't face him. He knew that he wasn't really going to be able to make it out of there. He was able to take that time to actually just regroup himself and take on some more shots to other people and secure an extra elimination too. Great stuff there out of Microboy.
And when
huge.
Yeah, like, just real quick, like, when I looked at Evos, I noted that all the other players from the team have stood up in their own right across the PMPLs. But in this individual game, it was all Microboy, baby.
Oh my goodness, man. Sandhawk, you just love to see it. I mean, so many beautiful plays from so many different squads. But hey, one squad that we saw last was Alpha 7. Let's get to a quick interview with them.
Thank you, panelists and casters. We are back on the stage in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm Chuchu, your host, and we're back with also Alpha 7 team member, which is going to be Revo coming up from. He said his role is actually free player or free man, so he's been rotated all around. But I'm going to ask. It's been a long time since your participation in the PMWI. So how does it feel to play in the global event again? It's going to be the first one. The second, which team was causing you the most problems by far?
Então, ela perguntou que tipo já vai fazer tempo que vocês não jogaram na final. Então, como se sente agora jogando no final do campeonato? E qual das equipas foi o maior problema durante o jogo?
Acho que a gente vem se saindo bem esse ano, não foi como esperado, a gente pegou muitos segundos lugares, mas a gente se sente bem e eu acho que todas as equipes são uma pedra no sapato, mas a gente consegue bater de frente com qualquer uma e a gente está dando o nosso melhor.
So for them, like for this year, it's been like not that good because they're getting a lot of second places. But for like the previous match, they did good, and like in general, all the teams are good. So all of them have the potential to be like a good rival.
Honestly, I think Alpha 7 is very aggressive in the early game, so they're really good. So how did you manage to get a winner chicken dinner on the Miramar game earlier just now, even though your team had only 3 people alive in the last circle? Is that magic?
Então, como vocês conseguiram ter o chicken dinner na Miramar? Porque vocês na final só tiveram 3 jogadores vivos. Foi magia?
Acho que jogando em 3 ou jogando em 2, a gente tem que pensar que tá em squad, porque todo mundo tem potencial de bater de frente com qualquer um. E é isso, o Carrilho ajudou muito, mesmo estando morto, ele passa as informações pra gente. E é isso, a gente jogou como se estivesse em squad.
So for them, like even if they're just like 2 players or 3 players, but the feeling is like the full squad is still alive, because even Carrillo was dead by the time. It was helping them with information about the game. So it's just like the feeling of like the full squad, like till the end.
Okay, since you're saying that the full squad, like even though they got 2 or 3 players, who do you think is that one player that can equivalent to one squad or the most important player in your lineup in that situation?
So, então, para vocês, tipo, qual é o jogador que vocês consideram que tipo dá mais ajuda pro time?
Acho que o jogador que dá mais ajuda pro time, na verdade, são todos. Todos têm um potencial absurdo. Tanto o Sueguin, que é nosso reserva, mas quando ele entra, ele faz o papel dele. Então todos têm um potencial absurdo.
So for them, actually, like all the 4 players, including like Sueguin, like the substitute, they all think like they're all the same level. They all can be like, they do their best to support like the whole team.
And that's why we have to learn a lot from Alpha 7. They've been really good since the start. Now, any last words or for your supporters, for your families watching out there, or even your team members playing, anything that you want to say to them?
Então, o que queres dizer, tipo, à luz das suas palavras agora, tipo ao time ou mesmo para os fãs aí em casa?
Eu quero agradecer todo o apoio de vocês, a todo o apoio dos fãs, porque isso daqui é um sonho pra gente. Sempre foi, a nossa meta sempre foi a PMGC. E a gente vai dar nosso melhor para trazer esse título pro Brasil, classificar agora, se Deus quiser, e na final trazer o título pro Brasil. Então a gente tá dando nosso melhor e amo todos vocês, Ianca e Nice, amo vocês e eu só agradeço por todo o apoio de vocês.
So it's just like a big thank you for all the fans, especially like for the big family back home. And they're doing the best like to get the title to the team, but also like to Brazil. So they're doing like all the best all they can for like the championship. So they can get like the final win like in Jakarta to Brazil.
Yeah, it feels like they might actually go to Jakarta at this point, how aggressive they are. But thank you so much for Revo and Alpha 7. Good luck, all the best. And that's it coming up from the on-ground scene here right now. We're back to the panelists and casters and see you guys with more chicken dinner. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, always good to see a Revel there with a beautiful interview and Choo-Choo as well. I mean, oh man, anytime I get to see the players, get into action. That's what I like to see. Of course, I got to give a big thank you to our sponsor, Pullman, Kuala Lumpur Bagsar. Our world is your playground here, the hotel partner of the PMGC League 2022. And man, these guys are going to need a good night's rest here after today because we're still heating up here. Match number 4 coming up. I think it's time we take a look at the follow us graphic. Make sure you guys follow us. Again, I cannot tell you enough. Follow the dang social channels. Hit the button. Follow, and let's get it going. Make sure you use the hashtag PMGC 2022 as well. Now let's take a look at the overall rankings and see where everybody stands here, and it's Nova on top.
Wow. Okay, yeah, it's Nova on top, 44 points. I kind of expected that right after that chicken dinner, but what's impressive to me here is HVVP being able to put up a second place finish, even though they haven't gotten any wins. Their consistent performance that we're seeing out of that team is working out perfect for them here.
And even 1 million in third place, right? The Moroccan side kind of somewhat come out of nowhere. Their patient game, their passive play, even though we aren't necessarily a massive fan of it, has worked out for them so far, moving down. Vampires slowly building themselves up, but they have somewhat dropped down. Dropped up, should I say. And once again, Fireflux still in last place. I need to see something from them today.
All right, I got a question for you here. Aaron Gill coming up, match 4. Are we going to see that hot drop? You said earlier, and I quote, you said that might not be enough for Power to not hot drop with Nova. Do you think after what they saw in that Sandhawk, they're going to be like, you know what, let's actually not hot drop Nova? What do you think, Imperium?
I'm still on them kind of hot dropping on Gaka. I am, because, I know, normally I'm the opposite, but I think when it's something like the PMGC stage, it's still day 1. There's still 3 days to go. I'm all for it, man.
So you want Power to throw. Got it.
To watch. Yeah, I think that might just happen here. I don't think you want a hot drop at all here at this stage, especially at Gatka. There ain't no loot. But you know what? There is the teams to watch. So let's see. So you got HBVP on your list. Second place so far, 7.
I do, and I mean, this is the reason, the consistency that we're seeing out of this team. And I actually want to talk a little bit more about Godlike Star Wars, because, boy, what is going on with that team? We saw the frustration, too, from the players at the end there when they actually ended up getting eliminated, one of the players just smacking his hand to the table. Don't smack it too hard. You know, you still need them. But I hope they're able to just kind of brush off that frustration. It's still halfway through day 1, guys. You still have a lot of time. But, hey, halfway through day 1, I feel like they need to turn it around now, Imperium.
Just simply, they got caught out in the previous game. They got caught out in game 2. Luckily, you know, Orangel, as we will have a look at possibly in graphic, is arguably their strongest map so far in the PMGC. I'm okay with them kind of smashing the table like that, because you get your frustration out of the way straight away. You kind of go, oh, damn, that sucks. But then you move on, right? You know, you move on. You go, okay, next game, next opportunity. Let's get it, boys.
Yeah. Every one of these teams is really looking for that opportunity to pop off right here. That's how you really win a stage like this. You know, hopefully you get that good zone, but you have to maximize it. You got to get those maximum eliminations, because it ain't always going to come to you, like we saw on that last Sandbox there. But Nova was like, hey, come to daddy. Come to daddy here. All right, Air Gale about to come up here as we can take a look here. Oh, look at the Knights, man. Coops looking up to the sky saying, what's going on? What's happening?
I would actually like to, at some point, if this performance continues, at the end of the day, I want to see a little bit more urgency out of Knights. I mean, they're currently sitting here in 14th place.
Yeah.
Not where we want them to be, considering that this is the only team out of North America. Come on, give us something to push for, Knights.
Come on, baby.
Show us what you're capable of.
And it's the same with Vampire as well that we just saw on our screens. In the previous game, yeah, they got a decent result. But once again, they hung on to that compound for too long. Right? They did. And then they got punished by Nova swimming across the water. Arguably, they shouldn't have allowed that to happen. They shouldn't have allowed Nova to punish them like that. Of course, when you're playing against a player like Power Boy, yeah, you can't be, you know, you can never be, you can never not be conscious of that. But at the end of the day, you got to take control of the end game, and Vampire didn't do that in Sandhawk.
Paraboy's
Paraboy. Well, Paraboy is Paraboy. All right, guys, let's get this next match going. Let's take it on over to John Allen and Zute.
Thank you very much, guys. Over on the desk, we're nicely rounding that one out. Nova dominating so far on the tables, with HVVP playing a close second. And at the top, it's still pretty tight, but it's still all to play for, and it's very early in the tournament.
Yeah, it's so close. Nova getting that huge win, but HVVP, like the Des mentioned, no wins and only 3 points behind. I touched on it a little bit, right? Like HVVP, if you give them the zone, they're going to end up, picking up a lot of points. If you don't give them the zone, they're going to go on a warpath and definitely take out some teams. It's like, if you're the teams going against HVVP, John, like if you were in here playing against HVVP, would you rather them get the zone so they could just stay in that little circle, in that bubble, or not give them the zone and fear them, just doing a warpath onto your team?
I mean, it depends, right, in what position. I feel like if you force HVVP to move and you've got multiple teams around you, that could be a better scenario because it takes a couple teams to take them down, seemingly. So, I mean, maybe in that scenario, it's better if they don't, right? Because you know that as soon as they move, everyone's going to look their way. They're going to get shot down and probably only get a maximum of maybe, what, like 30, 40 kills, eliminations on the game. So, should be all right. Should be able to pick those ones up. Should be all right, one of you might survive if you're lucky.
Yeah, okay, we're into Erangel. The first thing I want to look at, the plane path, right? So Nova has 2 different split drops. If the plane, which it is not, went from east to west, they have a different split near the farm area. But once again, this is west to east, which means Gatka will be the first area for the plane to fly over, and we might see that hot drop once again between Power and the Nova team. I do see Nova already jumping out. The NV is on the plane. It is out of the plane now. It is coming down, but do we see Power with them? I see a P.
I think I might.
Yeah.
I think I might see it.
Yeah.
I think I see it. Are they both going to go to Gatka
There's
again? Or are they going to
way.
split around Gatka?
They got to change it. It has to be no. They are going
look like it is.
Straight to Gatka.
Oh, no.
Oh.
3 players from... There's a late drop from one of the Power players or a split drop, potentially. But Power currently operating with 3. There comes Kante onto the rooftops as well. No weapons to be seen. And it's going to pop off a lot faster this time around. Jimmy immediately dispatches D7H. First blood over to the Nova squad. And that is great news. They've turned it around as well in terms of position. They've forced Power into the position that they held last time around. Order playing with the revolver right now. The weapons at the back, not super strong. Jimmy had that auto shotgun. Cat's actually having some decent weaponry on board.
I got to give major, huge credit to Nova. This is a team that's not known as an aggressive team, and they just took the lead in first place. And they have a lot of options, right? This is a very experienced team that could easily drop anywhere else, do the similar rotations. It's Erangel, right? The easiest map to rotate on. But they're going to stick tried and true to what they want, and they want Gatka. This is...
Zute.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump across right now because the circle's just popped, and it is Sosnovka. It is hard military base on this circle.
Oh, it is.
So we are going to be heading down south. Everybody's going to have to cross. So not only are we going to get this exciting pop-off at the start, but we're going to get this conflict on the road.
Oh, man. Well, this definitely speeds up this fight for sure, right? Like, with it being on military base, you got to finish this one quick. It is a 4v3. We saw what happened last time, though. Power had the 4v3 advantage, and they still lost. And it's the same thing, but just flipped around. Nova's pushing in from the same exact side that Power pushed in from. So we might see something similar where the team that gets the advantage goes down. But this is Nova. This is the veteran team. Usually when a veteran team has an advantage, they won't throw it away.
Certainly hope if you're a Nova fan. Chinese roster playing forward. Paraboy with the Molotov in hand wants to just burn anyone who steps forwards. No armor or helmet, though, for Paraboy, so dangerous to be in such a forward position. You can soak up a little bit of damage. Evos, in the meantime, as we leave that fight, hop on over to the Western Bridge on the crossing to Military Island. Pittsburgh Knights trying to get ahead of the game. They have got Xenox at the back, but look at the front. Coops, Spec, Tensor, all already getting across now. Trapping Evos on the bridge.
Yeah. And Evos U-turns right around. I think Evos is trying to just take the 2v1 against Xenox instead of, driving into the 3 players of the Knights. Luckily for these 2 teams, or more so luckily for the Knights, nobody is yet rotating, right? We're only 4 minutes in. If this fight lasts any longer, we're going to see some other people coming down this bridge side. Right now, it looks like the Knights are trying to find a way to get Xenox across the bridge. One player of EVO's already just electing to take a swim. And this fight did slow down. And I like what Power is doing here. They're sending one player a little bit further out as kind of a trap in case Nova pushes further into the side of Power.
But they're isolating their players as well. If Nova just go for a full crash, there's no way really you can go for this backup play. You're going to be basically relying on trades, and with Aziz going down on the sidelines, you're going to isolate those fights even further. That's the spray, that's the flush. Order holding out. Micro is in that range. Solid spray.
I didn't even know you could use that spot like that. Wait, hold.
Yeah, look at that.
Wait, how did he get on that roof? There's no stairs up to that water. I'm pretty sure that roof...
Maybe a vehicle? Not entirely sure. We'll have to double check on that, because at the moment it's the last stand coming through. Outside of the field, the off-angle falls, and there's the last one to go. Order
Clean.
Puts the final nail in. They're not going to let this one go 4v3. Jimmy does get knocked, but they're absolutely fine with it.
Yeah, I think that is just a clear sign of an experienced team that goes on the aggression versus a more not as experienced, right? We saw Power with the 4v3. They all funnel into one chokehold. Nova, meanwhile, they are just so good at picking players apart, finding the angles, and using that rooftop position. So good. Another team rotating now across the bridge. This is the Eastern Bridge. Damwon Gaming makes their rotation. Star Wars Esports trying to... Well, I don't think this is necessarily a bridge camp because they only have one player here, but this is a clear sign that Star Wars needs to either camp the bridge or get that player out of there, because he could get crashed on by Damwon if they elected to do so.
So far, we've seen 3 teams make the full rotation onto Military Island. We're looking at Starlights Gaming as well, crossing from the swim from the north, and we've just witnessed Vampire Esports crashing on the southwest of the island. In fairly short order, we're going to see Bacon Time as well on the south side of the island. They've managed to take a boat all the way down. Looks like 1 million are also going for a boat. So far, 3 boat rotations to the south side of the island. Other teams looking for the bridges right now. Inco on the eastern bridge next up to bat.
Yeah, only one team really camping the bridge, and that is the side of the Knights. And it already worked out for them. The Knights managed to pick up one elimination. See 1 million rotating in on the boat. Damwon deciding to go just center, going into the military base. And now some of these teams that are rotating so early, they might not have the loot that they want either. So they might be, crashing into certain compounds like Damwon here to look for a few more weapons, maybe some ammo. Evo's having to back off here. Evo's doing great rotation too. They got caught on the bridge, but they managed to regroup as 3 onto the heart and center of Military Island.
I like that little graphic on the right-hand side, because there's a lot of, when you talk about Nova, there's a lot of Power Boy, Power Boy, Power Boy. But Order, for the longest time, has just been this consistent machine of just damage, eliminations. I mean, you look at what he was at. There was a question earlier, I think, that flashed up on the screen during the last game of who got the most eliminations in PMGC 2021, and the majority, I think it was like 60% voted for Paraboy, but the answer was, in fact, Order with 141 eliminations. Yeah. It is a name that we look at a lot and have reverence for, but I feel like people don't realize exactly how much of an important aspect of this team he is. He's so crucial.
I feel like amongst the competitive players, right? People know Order is the harder hitting one, right? As far as status and legends go, it's Paraboy, because they're both extremely strong in different, aspects, right? Order's known as the long-range god. This guy does not miss when it comes to mid to long distance. The best support cover player you can ask for. And then Order, of course, is just, not only is he really strong close range, he is so clutch with his IQ when it comes to close range fights. He just always knows how to move around without having to do anything too flashy. Like, his close range IQ is on another level. Yeah, those two players, just the dynamic duo, right? And then, of course, Jimmy, the IGL, the brains behind everything, and King, the support player, to make sure everything is anchored down so that when a mistake is made, King is always ready to step up to, keep things covered. Like, that is the Nova Championship team right there.
I mean, there's a reason they are 2 times, right? Like, they have got so many accolades under their belt. They came second, though, over in PEL. I mean, this is why we're seeing them here. They're not direct qualified into the finals. from it. So they're going to be looking to take a lot more. But to be fair, they do get a massive chance at getting a hefty chunk of prize pool from this. I mean, the top prize is 950k, right, for winning your group. Yeah. So maybe that's what they're looking for. Tactically coming second place, increase your earnings.
Yeah, not just that, you get more practice too, right?
That's true.
Like, I think last year they didn't get direct either, but I do remember there was one PMGC where one team got a direct. HVVP and Nova again clashing, and this might actually work for Nova as HVVP just got surrounded. They haven't even confirmed Jimmy yet. Order firing off some shots, missing some crucial bullets, but once again, King, as I said, he will hold it down. Order actually did get knocked, so King is the last one up, 1v2 and no first aids.
Tixi behind the vehicle, not going to take those shots yet. The cover from the car just a little bit too strong. Wants to put a nade back uphill. King, though, ticking away low, steps out wide and goes boom. 2 players down, and in comes MEHEDi Alliance with the solo outlook here. No one really too close. Everybody else has left, but he's going to prove to be troublesome for HVVP, bringing them down to one player going. Matic falls. This is disaster for these two top of the tables teams. This is a chance for 1 million to step up, for Alpha 7 and Bacon Time to try and challenge for one of those top 3 spots.
Oh, why did MEHEDi Alliance? I don't agree with that.
I mean, they're leaving a player up back, and it's worked out. They've swept 2 of the strongest teams in the lobby away from being a problem.
I mean, those are free points right there. I feel like if... okay, maybe it's a playstyle thing, but I feel if that was Alpha 7 in that position, they go back and take out HVVP. If it was, you know, like... I don't know. We'll see how it works out for MEHEDi Alliance, but HVVP were dead to rights there, but they will get the full reset.
All 4?
Yeah,
I was going to say that. Like, how do they get everyone back up? I mean, sure, it's Zone 2, I guess. You can do it.
It is only Zone 2. We just have had crazy action.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Man, Nova falling down, though, and to HVVP of all teams. It is... Man, it's almost like this is the last game of the entire Grand Champion every single game, because these teams are just like targeting each other constantly almost.
Well, the next circle will fully isolate the military island here, as it will leave none of the mainland left in the slice. Most teams already in it. I mean, HVVP, we've seen them. They're going to be late on this rotate. Hopefully they've been able to slurp up enough meds to sustain them, but that western side that they're going to have to push in is looking pretty treacherous. 1 million as well from the south, going to have a difficult path through the Pittsburgh Knights.
Yeah, she here rotating in extremely late due to where they dropped. Will find themselves pretty much barricaded by multiple teams. Can't get any deeper into the zone. One thing I do enjoy is that we didn't see too much bridge camps, right? I feel like bridge camps are always messy and a very prolonged fight. It looks like all the teams here is just going to forego that and just get onto the island and play the game from there. HVVP here rotating in and making it in. Solus needs to be a little bit careful, and HVVP... Oh, I thought they were about to just 4-man pull up on Solus like they did to Nova. But they're going to keep rotating. But Fireflux, they have the angles. They have everything set up. HVVP will lose 1 player for sure, but a return fire.
Gives them a swift haircut there. Going to be looking smart for the ground, unfortunately. Second duo rotating past Sol K, not quite connecting on the spray. Running out of ammo. Matic has cover. Solus sailing wide with that spray. Wrong tree, my friend. Matic has the opportunity to go for a heal. The zone will be pushing in, but with Ketch down, they're losing that middle player. They're losing that middle position, and now HVVP can start to exploit. Kitsune being down, sure, unlikely you're going to get that back up, but the rest of the team, they're still on the warpath.
You realize HVVP is winning this fight right now?
It's
They drove in, lost a player against the 4-man split setup defense out of Fireflux, and HVVP is the one that's winning this fight.
They just got pulled apart. The nades just completely tore them down now. 2 players on the front eliminated, and with that, I mean, you said they were winning the fight before. How about now? 3v1.
I just had to make sure that sunk in. It was like, you know, HVVP is the one winning this fight, and they will pick up 2 points right here. Solus, I'm pretty sure, will go down, will not get revived. And oh my god,
too easy.
Tixie, my man.
This guy is absolutely one you do not want to come across in the battlefield. Solkay.
Yeah, just
last
turn tail.
standing. Yeah,
turn tail.
Just get out of there.
Run away, man.
Wow. 5 eliminations already, but over in the military base, we've got UDO Alliance facing off against 1 Million. 1 Million currently a third place team at this stage, despite being, I would say, fairly quiet and not really doing too much too special. They get third place in Miramar, third place on Sandhawk. Maybe they're looking to follow it up with a third place over on Erangel here.
Third place gets you into third place. Yeah, overall on the third place position. But it looks like they're playing a little bit louder here, picking up some points, going over for a revive. 1 Million right now doing the quiet consistency so far out of all the games. Not really putting themselves on the radar, but still looking good in terms of points.
Up the top of the hill, Bacon Time stretching out their leg. And opening a nice line of fire for themselves to operate for the next circle, which comes through a little bit closer to the observatory, which catches the entirety of Stalwart in. They're playing 2 up, 2 down right now. 1 Million losing a player to Pittsburgh Knights. We said this approach tricky because of them. Seems like that is going to come to pass.
UDO Alliance right now rotating through the minefield, so to say. It's a hail of bullets running in from both sides. HVVP now find themselves against the Bacon Time. HVVP only down to 3 now, however, so their firepower will be stunted just a bit.
So they're only about 3 times as good as the rest of the lobby, apparently, in this game. Sort of around. After losing a player, no, of course, but they have proven that they are incredible in a firefight. When it comes down to those clutch scenarios. Unfortunately, only Nova really were able to overcome them, and that was with the help of a third-party engagement in the last Sandhawk.
See what happens. They are on the edge of zone. They do have a ridge, so it might be stalemate, but knowing HVVP, they never resort to stalemate. They always push the action. Star Wars in a much, much better position now. Yeah, and
it's already popping off. Tixie goes over the top, tags a couple, and gets back with a flush. Stays alive with all of them. Bacon Time, they're not going to have an answer. Not yet. Tixie has another nade. Cook it up towards the smoke. Spots the player dodging out right. Goes for the spray. Not quite going to get knocked. That is Noise actually answering with a volley of fire with the AKM. Fortunately, there's teammates for Tixie. I know it doesn't seem like it sometimes, but he's low. Can they go in? Can they stick this res? Meku going to have to make the dash. Matic tags it first. Blooms the smoke. Keeps him alive.
That's an MVP player right there. When you have 2 teammates left and they're both beelining it towards you to make sure the revive goes through. But yeah, he was very low. And Bacon Time actually now down to 1. I think they got into somewhat of a long distance crossfire, so it's not just HVVP they had to worry about. HVVP, they're not the ones to necessarily close out that fight, but HVVP are the ones to push that fight and force Bacon Time out of position. And HVVP now will have to contest with Damwon. Okay, I said they're only a 3-man team, but they're playing pretty much like if it's a 4-man team.
I mean, we heard that interview with Alpha 7, right, coming through, where they were saying, oh, you know, it doesn't matter how many of us are alive, we always feel like a full squad. HVVP, they are laying that bare on the battlefield. 3 of them alive, 7 eliminations with 12 teams remaining. 11 teams now after the last team went out, but this is a really big game again from them. Already picking up 7 eliminations. They might be on the chase for Nova if they can keep it on going.
Oh, I think they've passed Nova up.
Went out.
Yeah, they've passed Nova up already, and that zone is going to help HVVP out as well. We've already seen 3 strong dominant games out of HVVP, and if they were to go out right now, I would say this is a strong dominant game for them already. Man, this team is, last year PMGC, they did not get that first place position, and I think that really pissed them off because this team has been just in the grind ever since, and they are looking like nothing like before. Like, absolutely insane. But Damwon will get the opening. Will they push this fight, though?
Ooh, looks like they might want to figure something out. I think they just want to regroup into the zone because it is crunching in. HVVP, they're diminished down to 2. If they went out right now, I believe the placement points would tip them over because currently it's a draw exactly with Nova, and they would add on that placement point, and they lose another. But it is right down to the wire at this stage. Tixi getting shot out, only Matic remaining.
Yeah, I think this is the end. This is the end of HVVP. He's forced to step up. He gets one.
Don't count those chickens yet. Matic is still going. He's got the nade.
He's sandwiched, though. He's sandwiched. Extremely hard.
Oh, he's given them the
second one.
Turns it around. Matic finds one more, and he's up for a challenge. He's going for yet another. Has the DP. So many bullets in the magazine, but finally, it's Inco. Third party is the only way to take down HVVP. They were so close to it. 2 players stepped up to bat for that one. It felt like they should have had more there, but they will be able to isolate. With that, HVVP, they'll be able to challenge for that top spot, but I don't think it's over just yet. Nova going down gives Alpha 7 a chance to try and jump up with the big boys.
Knights showing signs of life, finally. 4 players up, 4 eliminations already, in a dominant position to take down U2 Alliance. He's down to the last player, M4 Spray. He peeks out. Coops with that DBS headshot finishes him out. Great position for the Knights, too. They are on the low ground, but it is a ridge, so it actually kind of plays in their favor. And they have 4. Damwon close by with 4. Knights take down 1. I think Knights have been playing very well in terms of their aggression. They just overextend sometimes, but this is a good one for them to get aggressive. It is an isolated 4v3 for them, and they need to clear out their sides.
Damwon struggling. They are now the filling in the sandwich, which is not ideal for them. Close by Inco. Spec spotted by Vampire, who are playing south side, just on the north edge of those military compounds that still remain in the circle. So, cooking the nade. One sent over his way, but the vehicle sends out wide. They'll spot the crash. Don't want to get run down by the buggy. Sidesteps it, falls back.
Great play out of Inco. Right now, trying to put some pressure using the buggy as a tool. It looks like one player of Damwon did go down. So now Damwon down to 2. Inco should smell weakness here. The next zone shifts out. Better finish out this fight now. Pick up those points and then get into the zone. The new zone shifts towards the east. Good zone for Stalwarts, who will just hunker down right there. Evos, I think, down to 2, also with hard cover.
Pittsburgh Knights disengage from the fight that they had up the top of the hill, but they might be having their backs shot out there. Inco move up past Damwon. They turn their attention out the Pittsburgh Knights way. They say, oh, hang on a minute, there's still a player from Damwon. Deal with that. Now they can look to control on the southeast side, but they are outside of the zone. They'll have to move forwards, and Eva are in the way.
Everything kind of right now, in my opinion, comes down to Inco. Everybody in zone should just kind of chill in the zone. Is Inco going to decide to go down south and take the southern side, which will be bad news for the Knights, or are they going to swing up north? Inco has full control to do either option right now, and with 4 people, they have the firepower.
Alpha 7. Spread out a little bit baseline on the southeast side. Inco squash low. Fluketh gets the angle. Mini 14 is good. And they pick up the point as well. Inco lose a player on that western edge. Pittsburgh Knights still very, very close. You can see them under that ridgeline. Excellent step up from action from Godlike Stalwart. And this is the game that we wanted to see from this roster. I mean, they've been flagging. You saw the frustration in the last game.
Yeah.
It looks like they've got it out of the system now. They're playing strong.
Looks like Inco finally deciding to make a play, and they choose the worst one of all. They go down the middle, which opens up silence from everyone onto them. I want to see them do a hard swing to the north or a hard swing down south. But going down straight the middle, they will get blown to bits. Inco now down to 1. And I think everyone else is pretty much in zone. Inco still has 1 player that needs to make it in, but I don't think he's getting into this circle.
Yeah, Vito 2K got to be really suffering now after losing Nenabete there. Vampire nades downhill, good rolls on them, and Stoned is going to follow it up, gathering no moss as he tumbles down the hillside. Tensor low around the side. The flush is priority, and top actually proving to be a third party. Coops falls, and actually they're trading back and forth. There's third parties that are ruining this push from Vampire. Stoned really very low, and everybody's suffering. Seemingly, Godlike Stalwart are just playing everybody for a chump at this stage, and Alpha 7 wade on into this fight on the south side. Nades over the top. Top still going in with that Mini 14. Spot Stone can't quite finish off the flush, but puts the player with the DBS back on the line. Xenox, the last to fall, and it's Alpha 7 to pick up the points.
Alpha 7 third party, when they smell points, they go for it. I love that decisiveness right there. Keeping track of what's happening on the battlefield. What a great team out of Alpha 7. We do see Alpha 7's down to 3, so I think Mythic is probably the one calling it out for them as well. Alpha 7 with 3, Star Wars with 4. We still have the Donuts team. USG Donuts been very quiet on the northern side, just playing and biding their time. And then Star Wars, once again, getting this circle gifted to them.
Really solid here. I don't see a way they don't win this. I mean, if they can't win this, then I feel like those previous games must have been getting to them, but this is the time that you are able to win. There's no two ways about it. You've got to capitalize on this sort of a circle.
Definitely. But I feel like the circle will... I think Alpha 7... I think every team might be able to stay alive here. No, USG looks like they have the edge of zone close to them, but it is not a good spot. So USG will have to commit somewhere. I feel like they're going to be looking at Evos' direction, and Alpha 7 making a move right here, and oh no!
Boom goes the car. Schweppes puts the DBS to work. Picks up 2 points for Vampire Esports. Last player surviving, and Alpha 7's hopes have dashed on the Dacia.
Alpha 7's probably Star Wars Esports' biggest threat too, so that just really made things a lot easier for Star Wars. Mafioso, last one up. He might be able to pick up a knock. Here is USG's push onto Evos right now. Lufa close by next to the tower. The other 2 players providing support, I believe, from distance. But they will have to make a move soon as the blue circle is closing in on them.
Nade came through from Evos to find the ground floor. Donuts USG going to be taking heavy casualties now. Only 1 player left standing, and Evos aren't going to make that too easy. Scry action, top, Pika, all staying strong. They have so much control over this zone.
Absolute control. Mafioso forced to run down now. Is he? He might be in zone on that. Oh, never mind. Mafioso goes out. We're down to 3 teams. And USG is still up. They got the revive. It's 2v2 here with 4 players of... They should definitely move off of that knock. They have the numbers, they have the angles, they have everything. They need to get more elimination points, not just the chicken here, with how bad of a 3-game Star Wars have had so far.
Although, to be fair, just getting that chicken dinner after the games they've had would be great news. It looks like they're going to get it. Look at the movements that they've made. They've pushed up. They're controlling the ridgeline. They know that they're going to have the center of the next zone as well.
Yeah.
There's no way that they go down here. I would put a good amount of money on it. It's just no way that it happens.
All the UC in the world. Yeah, they just need to maximize points. They get 1, they get 2. There's only 2 points left. They should look to get both of these. And no way can they throw this now. I want to see them commit, like try really hard to get 1 more point, because they should know both of these teams are just going to die to the blue otherwise.
Yeah, Action really wants to hunt this one down. They know there's a player in the shack. It looks like they know that where Redface is. There's the nade. There's the point. Action knows the bathroom will be the place of the final hold for Evos. It won't be enough with just the 1 player, but the rest of them flood on in.
Done.
And Godlike Stalwart, what a relief for this roster.
Yeah.
Coming back on in after a set of lackluster performances. I mean, you can see it. Look at that.
Yeah,
that is relief.
Relief is the perfect word. I love that you said that, because that was not a celebration we just saw. That was just relief. Pure relief that they are managing to pick up some points and put themselves back on the board. And there's a little bit of celebration now, a smile, as it's settling in, that they realize, like, hey, we still got this. We still know what we're doing. We're still a top contending team. Great job out of Star Wars. Man, what a game. HVVP once again showing up. Nova and HVVP continuing to duke it out. The hot drop, it happened again on Gaka. John, it happened again.
I mean, I imagine after this one it might change up a little bit. I was agreeing with Imperium on the desk about his points that, you know, it looked like they really should have won that fight for power. It was just Paraboy who turned the corner and got 2 knocks, one after the other, very fast, that won them the fight. But this time around, it was clear. Nova had it all in their hand.
Maybe Nova wants them to hot drop, because Nova has managed to pick up... Oh, okay. Actually, every single time, you realize that they've done that hot drop, another team has rotated into them because Nova's rotation is drastically slowed down. First game, it was Alpha 7. The game we just had, it was an HVVP. So that hot drop, even though they're winning it, is actually costing them a lot of points because they end up running into a different team due to the slowed down rotation.
I mean, it was difficult, obviously, with the military circle as well, because people are going to move faster on that, so it does kind of skew that a little bit, but you're right. Difficult path ahead, but godlike Stalwart start out with a good step for their first chicken dinner.